The Ten Commandments, a story that resonates through the ages filled with faith, redemption, and divine wonder. In 1956, a Hollywood star cast brought this epic to the screen. We followed Charlton Heston's Moses on his journey, challenged tyranny with Yul Brynner's Ramesses, and felt the earth shake with divine power. Now let's take a look at the lives of these legendary actors and discover the enduring legacy of the Ten Commandments. So hit that subscribe button and get ready to be taken back in time on a whirlwind adventure. Charlton Heston as Moses. Born into centuries of Jewish slavery, Moses came as a beacon of hope, prophesied to free his people. Fearing this fate, the tyrannical pharaoh Ramesses, the Fronde ordered all newborn Hebrew male babies killed to protect her child. Moses' mother, Jochebed, wove a reed basket and entrusted it to the waters of the Nile. After the war, Charlton Heston and his wife built a life in New York's Tough Hell's Kitchen, initially working as models for artists. Desperate for stage success, they ventured south to manage a theater in North Carolina, earning a modest weekly salary back. In New York, Heston landed a supporting role on Broadway in a revival of Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. He continued to hone his acting skills on television, appearing in critically acclaimed series like CBS's Studio One. Heston graced the stage at the Los Angeles Music Center, portraying iconic characters like Sherlock Holmes, even dressed up as a gorilla for a cameo in Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake. His final film role was as a notorious historical figure. In addition to acting, Heston's powerful voice was used as a narrator in films, contributing to the appeal of films such as Disney's Armageddon and Hercules. In a heartbreaking turn of events, Heston passed away in 2008 at his home in California, surrounded by his loved ones. He was 84. Although the official cause of death remains a private matter, media later reported that he died of pneumonia. Yvonne DiCarlo Sephora. Sephora, a shepherdess from Midian, was the eldest daughter of Jethro, the tribal leader. She became Moses' second wife and the mother of their son Gershom. Notably, she shared his devotion to the God of Abraham, whose name his followers did not name. Yvonne DiCarlo's journey to Hollywood began with trips to Los Angeles with her mother. In 1940, her beauty was so dazzling that she placed second in the YTC Miss Venice pageant and a respectable fifth in the Miss California pageant. She can be glimpsed 36 seconds into the British Pathé film A Matter of Figures. At Miss Venice, a talent agent spotted her potential and encouraged her to audition for a chorus line at the prestigious Earl Carroll Theater by 1964. Facing financial difficulties, DiCarlo had signed a contract with Universal Studios to play the female lead in The Munsters opposite Fred Gwynne. Interestingly, she was also the producer's top choice for the iconic role of Lily Munster. Originally named Phoebe after Joan Marshall, the original actress considered dropped out. DiCarlo, the embodiment of Hollywood glamour, was once asked how she would portray the ghostly mother of a haunted house. Her answer: simple. I just follow the instructions. Enter Donna Reed DiCarlo showed off her musical talents at least once in The Munsters, singing and playing the harp. In the episode Far Out Munsters. In 1950, DiCarlo got her dream home, an 11-room ranch house on a large lot in Studio City. With the help of an architect, she renovated the space, incorporating an English-style dining room with elegant paneling and stained glass windows. DiCarlo's health took a turn for the worse in 1998 when she suffered a mild stroke. She then lived at the Motion Picture and Television Hospital and Rest Home, where she spent her final years. Sadly, she passed away in 2007 due to heart disease. Anne Baxter as Nefertiri in the 1956 biblical epic The Ten Commandments. Nefertiri emerges as a complex character alongside Dathan. An Egyptian princess, she harbors a forbidden desire for Prince Moses. Determined to be with him and see him ascend to the throne, she took drastic measures, even murder, to keep his Jewish heritage a secret. Anne Baxter's career began with an audition for Hitchcock's Rebecca at the age of 16. Although she was considered too young for the role, her talent impressed, and she signed a long-term contract with 20th Century Fox. Her film debut was at MGM, where she shared the screen with established actors. The 1940s saw Baxter flourish working with legends like John Barrymore and Jack Benny. Her talent was recognized with leading roles in critically acclaimed films, like Swampwater and The Pied Piper, the latter of which was even nominated for an Academy Award. Back in the 1970s, Baxter became a regular on The Mike Douglas Show and even played a villain in an episode of Columbo. She also took on the challenging role of an elderly prostitute in Fool's Parade. Notably, she took over the role in the TV series Hotel from the legendary Bette Davis after Davis had to retire due to illness. Tragedy struck in 1985 when Baxter suffered a stroke. Although she was on life support, her family had to make the difficult decision to discontinue care after her brain function ceased. She died at the age of 62. Cedric Hardwicke plays Sethi. Sethi, son of Pharaoh, Ramesses I, and heir to the Egyptian throne, reigned before the Hebrew migration. He succeeded his father and married Queen Tuya, who bore him a son, Ramesses II, who later became Pharaoh. Seth's sister, Princess Bethia, played an important role during this period. Sir Cedric Hardwicke's acting career began on the London stage in 1912. He took a role in the melodrama The Monk and the Woman and That. Same year, he apprenticed at Her Majesty's Theatre. Initially, he appeared in several plays, including Find the Woman and Trust the People. In 1913, he joined a touring company that performed in various locations, including South Africa and Rhodesia Television, became a new avenue for Hardwicke's talents. He appeared in an episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents in 1956 and was a guest on The Ford Show in 1958. He even co-starred in a sitcom called Mrs. G Goes to College, later renamed The Gertrude Berg Show, in 1961, though it only lasted one season. Hardwicke's voice also brought characters to life on radio. In 1945, he played Sherlock Holmes in a BBC radio play, and his son Edward later played Dr. Watson in another production. Hardwicke also had a brief role as the title character in the 1954 revival of the radio show Bulldog Drummond, a lifelong heavy smoker. Hardwicke was diagnosed with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease in 1964 at the age of 71. He left a legacy in both film and theater. Deborah Paget as Lilia. Lilia, a Hebrew forced into slavery, often carried water as part of her daily chores. Born among siblings, she faced a cruel twist of fate. Dathan, a former Jewish overseer who had become governor of Goshen after Bacchus' death, took her as a concubine. However, she later found love and freedom when she married Joshua Moses' successor. Deborah Paget's acting career began at a very young age. At just 14, she landed a notable role in the film Noir Cry of the City, playing the girlfriend of a much older character. This impressive debut caught the attention of 20th Century Fox, who signed her to a long-term contract. She initially took on small roles before landing the lead role opposite James Stewart in the hit film Broken Arrow. In the film, Paget, 16, played a Native American teenager who falls in love with Stewart's character, who is much older than her. In addition to film, Paget also lent her voice to radio shows, participated in plays and original script readings with famous actors. During this period, from 1950 to 1956, she collaborated with names such as Burt Lancaster and Tyrone Power. In 1962, Paget married Ling Si Kung, an oil executive, and retired from acting in 1964. Their marriage, which lasted until 1980, resulted in the birth of a son, Judith Anderson, named Memnet, a servant passed down through the generations, was a loyal Egyptian nurse during the reigns of Pharaoh's Ramesses friend Sethi Fiv. She served Bethia and Nefertiri, but did not tolerate Moses' presence in the royal court. Judith Anderson's career began in 1915 on the Australian stage under the stage name Francie Anderson. As Stephanie in A Royal Divorce, she honed her acting skills under the tutelage of the esteemed actor Julius Knight. Together they appeared in adaptations of classic plays such as The Scarlet Pimpernel and The Three Musketeers. A pivotal moment came in 1947 with her brilliant performance as Medea in a daring adaptation of Robinson Jeffers' John Gielgud played. Jason and Anderson's performance earned her a Tony Award, America's highest stage honor. The show was a huge success, followed by a national tour. Although her performance in Elizabeth the Queen in 1966 was not well received, Anderson was undaunted. In 1970, she fulfilled a long-cherished dream by taking on the classic Hamlet role in a national tour that ended at Carnegie Hall in New York. Anderson returned to the powerful Medea in 1982, this time playing the nurse alongside Zoe Caldwell in the title role. Their paths crossed decades earlier during a tour of the play in Australia, which earned another Tony nomination. Anderson spent most of her life in Santa Barbara, California, where she died of pneumonia in 1992 at the age of 94. John Carradine as Aaron. Aaron, a revered prophet and high priest, was the brother of Moses. Details of his life are taken from religious texts including the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, and the Quran. John Carradine's acting career began with the 1930 film Tolerable, David. Although he claims to have had extensive experience before he was recognized on screen. Interestingly, Carradine recounted auditioning for the iconic role of Dracula alongside big-name actors. But historical records do not support this. Ultimately, Bela Lugosi brought the character to life. However, Carradine himself played the Count in later Universal Studios films such as House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula. Carradine's talents extended beyond acting. He provided the voice of the owl in the animated film The Secret of NIMH and the sorcerer in the English dub of Aladdin and the Magic Lamp. One of his final appearances was in Peggy Sue Got Married 1986. His last credited film, Jacko, was released posthumously. Carradine's deep, seductive singing voice earned him the nickname The Voice. He was also dubbed the Avenue Bard for his rumored habit of reciting Shakespearean soliloquies while strolling the streets of Hollywood, a claim he always denied. By the late 1980s, Carradine was largely retired. He struggled with rheumatoid arthritis in his later years. Tragically, he died of heart and kidney failure in Milan, Italy in 1988 at the age of 82. Remarkably, just hours before his death, he climbed the 328 steps of the city's magnificent Duomo Cathedral. John Derek, real name Joshua. Joshua wasn't always John Derek, the Hollywood heartthrob. He began his journey as a slave and was later discovered for his striking looks. Talent. Agents like Henry Wilson, who even gave him the temporary stage name Dare Harris, and David O. Selznick, saw his potential and cast him in small roles in films like Since You Went Away and I'll Be Seeing You, both released in 1944. World War II broke out and Joshua served in the United States Army in the Philippines after the war. His career took off. A Humphrey Bogart film led to a 7-year contract with Columbia Pictures in 1948. He then landed a supporting role alongside Broderick Crawford in the Oscar-winning film All the King's Men, 1949. In 1950, he officially changed his name to John Derek. John and his wife conceived a project titled Eve and That Damned Apple, but it was not financially successful. Instead, they made Bolero 1984 with Cannon Films, an experience that left an indelible mark. John's last directorial work was Ghosts Can't Do It. In addition to directing, John was also a talented photographer, having shot nude portraits for Playboy magazine featuring 3 of his 4 wives at different times. He even directed music videos for Shania Twain's hits, Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under and Any Man of Mine. John survived a heart attack in 1986, but in 1998, cardiovascular disease claimed his life at age 71 in Santa Maria, California. He left behind a legacy that included a granddaughter, Alice Derrick, and even became a great-grandfather in 1996. Edward G. Robinson, as Dathan, the other half of Nefertiti's villainous duo in the 1956 film The Ten Commandments, began his journey as a slave. The Israelite won the favor of Master Mason Baca, becoming his trusted confidant. In 1915, Edward G. Robinson, who later brought Dathan to life on screen, began his acting career with a Broadway debut. He then moved into films in 1916. In 1923, he adopted the stage name E.G. Robinson and made his silent film debut in The Bright Shawl. His role as a tough gangster in the Broadway play The Racket in 1927 set the stage for similar roles on the silver screen, beginning with The Hole in the Wall, 1929, opposite Claudette Colbert. Robinson thrived during the transition to talkies, unlike many of his contemporaries. Although his film career only included 3 films before 1930, he devoted himself to cinema during that year, releasing 14 films between 1930 and 1932. On the personal front, Robinson married stage actress Gladys Lloyd Cassell in 1927. They had a son together, Edward Jr., nicknamed Manny, and a daughter from Gladys' previous marriage, Veronica. Marriage ended in divorce in 1956. 2 years later, Robinson found love again and married bridal designer Jane Arden. He lived out his final years in Palm Springs, California. Sadly, E.G. Robinson died of bladder cancer in 1973, just weeks after completing his final film, Soylent Green. This heartbreaking event occurred just months before he was to be honored with the Academy Award for Lifetime Achievement. He was 79. A memorial service was held at Temple Israel in Los Angeles with Charlton Heston, delivering an emotional eulogy. More than 1,500 people attended, with hundreds more gathered outside. Martha Scott as Yochobel. Yochobel, a Levite, Hebrew slave born in Goshen, overcame adversity. Married to Amram, she became the mother of Miriam, Aaron, and the famous Moses. Faced with Pharaoh Ramesses' brutal decree to kill all newborn Hebrew boys, Yochobel bravely placed Moses in a basket on the river with her daughter, Miriam, watching over him. This act of love led to Moses being found by Bethia and raised as Egyptian royalty. Soon after graduating from college, Martha Scott's career skyrocketed. She performed in a series of Shakespeare plays with the Globe Theatre Company at the 1934 Chicago World's Fair. Following this success, she moved to New York City, where she thrived in both theater and radio. In 1938, she made her Broadway debut as Emily Webb, a tragic young woman in Thornton Wilder's play Our Town. Scott was married twice. Her first marriage was to radio broadcaster Carlton William Alsop from 1940 to 1946, and then to jazz musician Mel Powell from 1946 to 1998. She had a son, Carlton Scott Alsop, with her first husband, and 2 daughters, Mary Powell Harpel and Kathleen Powell, with her second husband. Interestingly, her son revealed that Scott used a childhood memory of a peaceful cemetery in her hometown to portray her Oscar-nominated character in the play Our Town. This image, he said, helped her get into character in the play. Martha Scott passed away peacefully of natural causes in 2003 at the age of 90. Nina Folk as Bethia. Bethia, daughter of Pharaoh Ramesses. The Mace is an Egyptian princess. A young widow with no children, she defies tradition by adopting Moses, a Hebrew slave child, and raising him as royalty. However, her deception of her brother Pharaoh Sethi into making Moses believe she was Egyptian led to her exile. Bethia eventually joined the Jewish army during their exodus from Egypt. Nina Folk's journey to Hollywood began at age 19, with a contract with Columbia Pictures. Her first role was in the horror film The Return of the Vampire opposite Bela Lugosi. She continued her career with a variety of roles, including a biopic, a mystery thriller, and a series of black and white films. In one such black and white film, Escape in the Fog, she played a woman who has a premonition of being kidnapped. Folk's career extended far beyond her younger years. Notably, she was the first murder victim in the classic series Columbo, starring alongside Gene Barry. The 1970s saw her appear on screen in shows such as That Girl and The Brian Keith Show. Folk continued to act afterward. She has appeared in popular TV series such as Just Shoot Me, Dharma, and Greg, and even NCIS, where she played the beloved mother of Dr. Donald Ducky, Mallard, She has also starred in independent films and continues to share her knowledge as a lecturer at USC. Additionally, she shares her experience as a script analysis consultant for Hollywood directors. Sadly, Nina Foch passed away in 2008 at the age of 84. Complications from a blood disorder took her life while she was still actively teaching at USC.